We're looking at live shots of the scene of that horrific attack in Lower Manhattan this afternoon. We showed you earlier some of the president's response to the attack on Twitter. The White House later issued a more formal statement which reads, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of today's terrorist attack in New York City and their families. My administration will provide its full support to the New York City Police Department, including through a joint investigation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We offer our thanks to the first responders who stopped the suspect and rendered immediate aid to the victims of this cowardly attack. These brave men and women embody the true American spirit of resilience and courage. I will continue to follow developments closely." Let's turn to Jonathan Lemire. He's a White House reporter for the Associated Press. He's also an MSNBC political analyst and an expert in this city, having reported here. What do you make of the difference between the White House statement, which is traditionally what we have come to expect from a White House historically, and the tweets, which sort of veer off into other directions that the rest of us don't have information on?
Sure. The official White House statement is not so different than what you'd have heard from an Obama White House or George W. Bush White House. The tweets are. Yeah. And the White House has told us these are official presidential statements. They should be treated as such. To say that sick and deranged person, as Trump first tweeted out today, to very quickly suggest that ISIS was behind this, which certainly there's investigative clues that may be the case, but the president may have been out in front of this a little bit, as we have seen him do before. Let's remember, he was chastised by Theresa May over the summer when he suggested a terror link to an incident in London, I believe it was, before the police there were willing to say so. And I remember last year in the campaign, there was an incident here in New York. I was covering the campaign. We were in Colorado Springs, I believe. It was the one when there was a failed explosion in a dumpster.
That's right.
And
in Chelsea.
In Chelsea, correct. And he stepped off the plane at a rally, talked about how it was terror, and it was hours upon hours before police said, oh, actually, that's the case.
You've covered law enforcement before. What's the danger of getting out ahead of those things? I would assume it's about public credibility. Well, how does the public know whether to be fearful or whether to be sure, or whether to know that authorities are taking the right action if you can't believe the veracity of the statement by leaders, by law enforcement, by the president? For sure. I covered police and fire here in the city in the years after 9/11. There always was. The police department very carefully weighed what they wanted to say about suspects or potential terror incidents. Because they don't want to be wrong, first of all.
That's right, because if you are wrong about something, then the public may not believe that you're right the next time. You also don't want to, of course, down the road, you don't want to suggest you're tampering with the jury pool by putting out bad information about you misidentifying someone. But I think more immediately, it's the day-to-day reassurances of a city that knows that it's a terror target, a city that has been in the crosshairs for a long time. You want people here to believe that you know what you're doing and you're being responsible with the facts you're giving out.
The president, you can ignore a bunch of the tweets, but he did talk about directing the Department of Homeland Security to beef up the extreme vetting. Again, we know this was a green card holder. I was a green card holder. I know what you go through. The government knows more about me than I knew about me. This concept of tying this to immigration and this extreme vetting, again, may provide a false sense of security.
Sure, and as pointed out in the last panel, this is the suspect here hails from a country that's not part of the travel ban. We have asked the White House, Department of Homeland Security, for more information as to what the president meant in these tweets. To this point, there's been no response. I think this is suggested that the president, this is a signature issue for him. Two of them, in fact, being tough on terror and being strict on immigration. He sees an opportunity here that politically, at least in the moment, to link them, to broadcast strength, to suggest to the American people, hey, we're on this, we're not going to let this happen again.
Jonathan, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Jonathan Lemire from the Associated Press. Coming up, we turn to the other big news of the day, the Russia investigation, and a new report on another White House insider set to take questions from Robert Mueller's team. The 11th hour is back after this break.